Hello and welcome everybody. This is Roland.
And I'm Rish.
And during last week's video, a question came up and we said we're going to talk about this today, Rish. What is liberty and why is it worth defending it?
Well, first, let's give the definition. There's 6 points as defined by Webster's to the actual definition of liberty. 1, freedom from arbitrary or despotic government control. 2, freedom from external or foreign rule, independence. 3, freedom from control, interference, obligation, restriction, hampering conditions, i.e., power or right of doing, thinking, speaking, etc., according to choice. 4, freedom from captivity, confinement, or physical restraint. 5, permission to a sailor, especially in the Navy, to go ashore. And 6, freedom or right to frequent or use of a place, i.e., you have the liberty of the city.
Yeah.
So that's the literal definition.
Yeah. I mean, you're going all intellectual on me today, but
don't worry, I'll knock it off.
No, I think it is important. It's important to know that there is a definition of liberty, and especially nowadays, I find it important that there are that people understand there are limits to liberty. And I said, let's talk about why is this actually so important for people? Is I will go just with my reason is first of all my own experience, and particularly the part of my experience where I say is only when you are losing your liberty or your liberties, you realize how important they are and how much they are, yeah, in everyday life, but we don't really take notice of it. And if we take notice of them, we don't confine them to their actual definitions, but attempt to exercise our liberties in violation of other people's liberties.
Well, when you have liberties, it's kind of like thinking about breathing. Everything's going fine. We don't need to look at it. It's when it's taken away that you really start to notice it. When things are being taken away from you, and I use breathing because your body involuntarily breathes if it's able to. You don't pay attention to that, just like you don't pay attention to blinking. It just happens. Situation normal, everything's fine. But have sand get in your eye or have your airway blocked and be choking on food or by an individual, and now all of a sudden you realize what it meant to you because now it has been stripped from you.
I mean, what's very important to me is that you are in a realm where you're, I mean, not free from injustice. Injustice will always happen, but in a realm where injustice is being dealt with and punished according to the what society has defined as an adequate punishment for violations of individuals or society's liberties. But as you are saying, it's like breathing, like blinking. You don't really think about these things, especially people like you and me living in Western societies that are, for all intents and purposes, a socio-liberal consensus of like-minded people, yeah, with obvious differences between different countries and cultures, but predominantly when you look at Western society, is we have managed to fight for these liberties that we have in the past, and looking at how difficult it was to obtain these liberties from our rulers, kings, queens, and emperors, or in other contexts also from our religious masters, the church, that we live in a privileged life of, if I can say whatever I want about our government, yeah, you can say whatever you want about your government. You are by definition
As long as I'm not directly threatening violence.
Exactly.
That is the key.
That is where
Yes.
but you could easily say Joe Biden is an idiot. Yeah. Or Joe Biden is getting me off. Yeah. This
but if I made a threat against his life, people with
exactly.
guns will show up, understandably
is,
so.
I mean, justly so. There is
But if someone threatens my life, people will also show up with guns.
Absolutely. I mean, there is this thing. Liberties have limits. Yeah, you need to people need to know the limits of their liberties. And essentially, what is a good advice that I try to look at is my liberty stops right at the tip of my nose. I have no right to infringe on your liberties or vice versa. Yeah.
See, I look at it similar. Your liberties don't extend further than my rights as a person.
Exactly.
I have my own rights, and that's why they call it tolerance and not acceptance. You can tolerate different points of view, religious, anything like that. You can tolerate them to where you're not fighting against them, but that doesn't mean that you have to accept it if it's against your own personal beliefs. That's the difference between tolerance and acceptance, and the difference between your liberties and my rights to have my own personal liberties. As long as you're not infringing on someone else, you're more or less within the moral code, the concept that we have agreed should be, this is what we're about.
And one thing, since you mentioned moral code, or the general understanding of what is right and wrong, I see, especially in the context what we discussed last week about the protests in China. The protests are going on despite a massive government crackdown. I mean, the army has been deployed, but as of now, the army is not shooting at the citizens yet. It's just police, the law enforcement going into people's home and arresting them for protesting against the government.
But they're rebelling, they're protesting because their liberties were taken away, and they were basically entire blocks. Thousands and tens of thousands of people were basically put into home confinement, in place prison. I saw videos where people were hanging signs in Chinese. Obviously, they were translated for an American and Western audience, but they literally said, "We're starving." They wouldn't even let them go out to get food, but they're not providing any nourishment.
Starve in Shanghai. It's a fact. No matter what people want to say in order to defend this kind of thing, I want to say this: the lockdowns are a logical consequence of previous policies that, well, not only failed to produce a viable vaccine. The Chinese vaccine is shit. Let's call it. It's better than nothing, but compared to the ones we have available, I think when they tested it in Brazil, 50% effectiveness, and after 6 months, you can't even find a trace that there was ever any form of protection. And the uptake, the people are not having the vaccine because of all the previous scandals. But cutting a long story short, again, Martek's law, communicating a different picture than what is the reality, going back to the lies of where COVID came from, what it is, the transmissibility, the transmission, and so on. It is coming back to bite. And damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't lock down entire communities, you will have new variants of this virus, and potentially also the variants that are relatively mild for you because we have been vaccinated and infected. Yeah.
But they've taken something and they painted it over, and that's deception. Deception leads to mistrust. Misinformation leads to and illogical decisions because they're not based on facts. They're based on emotions. Facts don't have
Essentially,
feelings.
yes.
That's something that we say on this channel many times. Facts don't have feelings. Well, if you're portraying deception as facts, and then when you really need to get an important message out there, you can't be surprised at the skepticism of the populace.
I mean, I'm surprised at the bad numbers economically that are coming out of China, that the Office of Statistics is actually putting this out. Yeah. And we all know the reality is still worse. But looking at what I see and why I don't think so-called China experts got it right that this won't affect the government. First of all, breaking news that the lockdown in Shanghai and Guangzhou has been eased off. Same with Xinjiang. And the message that what we said last week, the message to people is, well, if I go out in the street, I'm getting what I want. And once you have, you see the problem when you put the boot on people's neck, you have to keep the boot there, because as soon as you take the boot off, it's payback time. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that an angry mob will be raging through the streets, but I do see that the angry mob will form and make stronger and stronger demands versus the government. And for me, this is really evidence that even a person that lives under possibly the most perfidious and deep going oppression and monitoring I essentially say China is North Korea with money. That is what people need to understand. But even people living under this kind of oppression 24/7 have a breaking point when they say, no, I really don't care. Even if the army is being deployed, I'm still going out on the street protesting. And even if the army is being ordered to take arms against the citizens, how many of these soldiers have lost people due to COVID? How many of these soldiers will know someone in another city in their family that is protesting? How many of these soldiers will also have a breaking point and say, I'm not following that order? And from there on, I think anything is possible. I don't think we will see massive riots to the point of government changing anytime soon. But the government won't get away with what has been going on for the last years. And really, for me, going through this, having lived there, realizing you come into situations where you're getting blamed, although you can prove you have nothing to do with the situation. Yeah. And that you are completely helpless against a government that is ruling by, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do, instead of, I am bound by the law. The government in our country, you in my country, they are bound by the law. They can't do whatever they want. They can make new laws, yeah, to do in future what they want. But that realization was really for me the eye-opener, where I started saying, no, there is, for me as a person, fundamental liberties, if they are being taken away, not only is that for the individual a problem, it's also a societal problem. Imagine you have a problem in society, not necessarily caused by the government. Yeah, more often than not it is. But let's say you have a problem in society.
Actually, I was going to piggyback off what you said. I can give you one right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So not only governments can oppress, but think about cultures. Take America, for example. You had a certain group of people who were oppressing the liberties, and this is going back to slavery and the old America, 1800s right up until right before the 40s. You had one group of people more or less things with red lines, bad loans, stuff like that. It's one culture oppressing another culture. But now it's swung so far the other way that now people that didn't have anything to do with that, who didn't live through that, they lived through a completely different age of America, are now being oppressed by the other side, and with the media's help, made to think that if they say anything, oh, you'll get canceled, you'll lose your job. Doesn't matter if you did it. It's a different form of oppression. Cultures, two opposing ideologies within the same nation or with even the same state or local government, or just the local populace, they can draw a line in the sand and decide to oppress each other. And it's very effective in the modern day because of the access to news that is no longer fact checked. They used to just read the news. Guy got on the air, Walter Cronkite got on the air, read the news, said good night. Now the news is opinion. So if you have one group of people, they can use their media outlets, they can use their social media platforms, they can use the leaders of their movement to reach these huge masses of people, and they can say whatever they want. It doesn't matter if it's true. It happens. So I think that's a great example of, it's not just governments that can do this to each other. The society can do it to itself. The media can influence.
Oppression comes in so many forms, and you're absolutely right. The oppression may start between essentially two people, where each can say, well, I am the victim, you are the oppressor. There is no limit to how much you can segregate a population into different tribes. Yeah, this is what Jordan Peterson calls tribalization of society. And you see, on one hand, the distinguishment between good and bad, yeah, it makes things easier for people, yeah. But not only the simplification of the matter, but the idea itself of them versus us is, as you are saying, a great societal divider. And in today's age of omnipresent news and social media, yeah, we no longer have a Walter Cronkite saying this is what happened. Yeah, we have people like you say go on the air as this is what you are supposed to think about something that happened somewhere else. Yeah,
but see, these are very, very, very deep issues that require debate. They require respect from both sides, require sophistication, a willingness to talk, a willingness to listen, a willingness to compromise. So that's the type of issues that the Western world is facing. But the spokesmen and women of these issues are the loudest, most outrageous, most uneducated idiots that we can put in front of a microphone, a keyboard, or a camera.
Problem, yeah.
There's a real problem being addressed by fucking idiots.
Look, I am totally with you, and I was going to jump on your back now, saying, well, what do you do in a debate? Let's say something very simple, flat Earth theory. Yeah, what do you do with a flat earther? That you show them the bloody evidence. This can't be right. Yeah, and yeah, but I believe it.
Or the same thing with fake the moon landing. When we put reflectors so you can literally bounce a laser beam, get it right back.
There it is. And look,
flat Earth, just sail west. Just keep sailing west as far as you can go.
I live in the UK. We have British people, mostly England, voted with a small majority for Brexit. We now have the devastating effects or the devastating aftermath of the pandemic much worse here in the UK, and you still have people denying this is what's happening. And you have people saying, yes, this is happening, but it's the fault of someone else. It is not the decision I made. You have people that completely fuck things up and then refuse to acknowledge their responsibility for their own actions. Where does it stop? Yeah, where does it stop? I can't reunite individual liberties on one hand, And the rule of stupid, as you are saying, on the other, I have no solution for it.
Have you seen the film Don't Look Up? It stars Leonardo DiCaprio. So it's basically a take on global climate change, but the movie's called Don't Look Up. And the movie, this scientist played by Leonardo DiCaprio can prove that there's an asteroid coming and the planet will be destroyed. And it doesn't fit the political narrative of the Madam President who's trying to be reelected. So her solution is don't look up. It's not real. When you could just get a telescope and like, no, it's right there, dude.
There it is. Yeah.
It's bigger than yesterday. Tomorrow it will be. But if you ever get a chance, I'll plug in the movie. They don't pay us. No one pays us. We don't have any corporate sponsors at this time. So I'm plugging the movie just because I think it's a really good movie that piggybacks on this topic. Yeah. I think you'd get a kick out of it personally, Roland.
I will try my best. No, I know it is. I know it's about a criticism of media and social media to this day. And like I said, having lived through my experience in China, I am looking at it. What kind of damage am I willing to accept for society in exchange for the liberties we are talking about? So that's just between you and me. You have every right to say something stupid, yeah. And I have every right to say no. That's bloody stupid. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And vice versa. So the problem is, I'm an idiot, but I still believe it. Fuck all you can do. And my vote counts as much as yours.
Yeah, well, one of the social exchanges, one of the easiest one for me to make, and it's also one of the most unpopular, is taxes. I understand why I pay taxes. I need roads. We do need a military to defend our borders. We do need some social programs, things like disability if you're hurt. There are things that I understand the government will need to collect taxes if I want these services to continue. I've made that deal with the government. I pay my taxes, but to me that's one of the most unpopular like social agreements that you have with the governing body of your nation. But it's also, to me, it's the easiest to wrap your head around. Roads aren't free.
Look, this is a thing I read. I think it was in Walden by Thoreau, and he's also on about taxes. Yes, taxes are necessary. They are a necessary evil in an organized society that has essentially accepted an agreement between each other to elect the government from among themselves in order to organize things. Or take the traffic regulations. Yeah, I can't go 200 miles per hour in my Ferrari because I would endanger myself and others. Yeah, myself and my Ferrari, that's not the problem. The damage I'm causing to structures and stuff is not the problem. The damage I could cause to other people, it's
the kids on their bicycles leaving school that you just plowed through at 300 km and things like the Coast Guard. So I'm from the Gulf Coast. I'm from Florida. We go out and fish. People do commercial fishing. People do fishing for themselves, charter boats. It's a great industry. It draws a lot of money in, which we use for infrastructure and schools and things like that. The Coast Guard will literally go out and save you no matter the weather. Like they will come and they will try their best in 40-foot seas. Like, no, it's not a question. We're coming to you. Just be there when we go. And weather, the National Weather Association, they provide a free broadcast that can be accessed by anyone with basic radio technology. I want that to be funded. I want them tracking hurricanes. And I use the quotations free because they're paid through tax money.
Paid through tax.
But I'm more than okay with my taxes going to pay that.
See, this is the thing. In general, I'm paying taxes here, and I'm not allowed to vote for the British Parliament. I'm allowed to vote for the regional, the Scottish Parliament, and for my local council. Yeah, but you see, this is a thing where apart from that, I am saying which parts of those taxes are the things that I can agree with, and which are the ones I cannot agree with. And I'm a person that says, okay, yeah, I can afford it. I don't like it, but I can afford it. And I rather spend the money on something I disagree than to have a massively defunded government looking at a complete failure of statehood eventually. And again, this is something what we said about there's limits to my liberty. I, as a single person, cannot decide who gets what in the budget. Yeah. So when I look at this again, going back to Brexit, when you take everything into account,
That was a bad idea. They shouldn't have
it
done
was
that.
a stupidly bad idea. Right now, we are outside of the EU, outside of the single market, and it costs in economic damage. In economic damage in Northern Ireland, which are technically still in the EU and
Yes.
can still trade with the EU. If you're happy enough to, if you're lucky enough to live in Northern Ireland, it costs you 220 pounds a year, the current arrangement. So even the Northern Ireland communities have taken a shitload of damage. So, and let's say that's 20 pounds a month. Let's say it's 30 bucks a month. Yeah. If you live in London, it is 700 bloody pounds a year that you are worse off just because of how Brexit was implemented.
And if you want to go to France and use the tubes, better have a full day. Full tank of gas, some extra water, maybe a blanket, a snack or two, lunch, dinner, breakfast.
You see, the point I'm making is when you look at the cost, what did it cost us to be inside the EU? It is less than 90 pounds. I think it's 76 pounds, everything considered, including the money we got back from the EU, which is now gone.
Well, I
And
thought they sold it on immigration reform for the reason Brexit.
I will say something about immigration next. But let's bear that in mind. 200 pounds if you are lucky, 700 if you're not so lucky, compared to a cost of let's say 76 quid. Yeah, 76 pounds, let's say $100. And right now, we are so free and have so much sovereignty, sovereignty about our borders and stuff, that we need to ask the French to enforce our borders. We need to ask the Spanish to enforce our border in Gibraltar, which the Spanish are happily doing. And
they won't even that's why the Gibraltar has that jacked up airport. They won't even let you fly over Spanish airspace to land on Gibraltar. That's why the runway's just murderous.
The point is our trade. If British business wants to sell in the States, we obey American laws, period. Apparently that's okay, but obeying EU laws, if we want to sell into EU, that's bad. Yeah. And blaming the EU for enforcing their own laws in their own house, I think that is the most deluded thing I have ever heard people say.
My house, my rules. Don't like it, don't come.
Probably the best answer you can get, but having all these rights not being checked at the border, except at port of entry, because everybody comes at port of entry, going to the EU
customs
queue, just scanning your passport and yes, I'm here. Having absolutely, look, I shop a lot on eBay, and I have noticed that the selection of stuff I can buy is much reduced. Yeah, not only for my toys in war games, it is prohibitively expensive to order a bottle of wine from the EU. I could do that, no problem. 12 euro postage, up to I don't know how many bottles.
But now there's tariffs on shipping and tariffs on the product itself because it's not a free world market.
Yep, that is the thing. And even the trade and cooperation agreement that the UK reluctantly has signed and wants to reverse is only valid until 2026. I mean, you said ruled by idiots. And when you look at this kind of thing, the whole thing doesn't make sense. It is factually wrong.
Well, not just ruled by idiots, but also the message, the mouthpieces for the message, non-elected officials who can say even more dumbass shit. You know, they're morons too. Where is the accountability?
Exactly. You see, when I go back to, or to just go over the channel into France. France has a tradition. For example, at work, it's for you as a French worker, it is apparently legal to kidnap your boss until they do what you want. In terms of unionization. So I'm not encouraging you to try that in the States, or that this is happening on a. I'm not trying to insinuate this is happening on a daily basis. But
they did try to kidnap their boss. Did you not see the news from January 6th?
I did see that. It's not about their boss. It's about the former boss, who by the way is making himself. You know the way it appears right now in the news is that he's making himself look more and more stupid. So I don't know what's going on, but the Republicans do need to come up with a better candidate. Yeah.
I don't think he would be the best choice for the party. But Joe Biden has also made comments that he is going to run in the next election. The Democrats, unless they just want to give it to the Republicans, if the Republicans put anybody but Trump up, who can just not screw it up, just don't say anything stupid for 6 months in a row, that person is going to beat Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden, I mean, you already see the cracks in the plaster, man. The house is falling down. And most Americans generally do not have faith in Kamala Harris. It's just she's not seen as a political leader. She's not even seen as one of the front as vice president. Most Americans that I've met, that I've talked to about political matters, don't even see her as a real driving force, a real part of the senior management or senior leadership of her party while she's vice president. So there's some problems there.
Even in Europe, you normally have a good idea who are the leadership figures. And when they came up with Kamala Harris, and I'm like, who? Yeah.
Well, same thing happened to John McCain. People were like, what happens if John McCain dies? Wait, Sarah Palin's going to be president? Nah, fuck that.
Who's nailing Palin?
Yeah,
I'm not going to go down that. I'm not going to go down that.
Not going to say I've ever seen or not seen those videos.
I can't deny or confirm the rumors. But looking at the liberties, look, we sit here, we say this kind of stupid shit. Yeah,
we have the liberty to do.
We have the liberty to do that, and it's not.
You cannot make this show in China. That's why this show was supposed. We talked about this show a year before our first episode, and you couldn't make it because we could only talk through Facebook Messenger and text. We couldn't even send voice recordings or do FaceTime.
I tell you one better. I haven't said it to many people, but when I went back to the UK, I had to apply for settlement status, not a visa, but something similar. So basically, I get all my shit together. I have all my documents, and I'm trying to send them off the next day. Next day, I'm logging on to my cloud storage. The documents are gone.
Time to get some new accounts and a VPN.
Well, you see that's the thing. Even with VPN, the oppression, the monitoring the surveillance became so strong, even when I was there. Yeah, really just in the aftermath, or 6 months, a year after COVID, when it hit. So really 2020 and 2021, the time when I was still there, there were literally days I couldn't access my email, even with the VPN.
Really?
Yep.
Did y'all have WhatsApp? WhatsApp's encrypted, but I'm sure the Chinese could break it. That's why they didn't have it, huh? Because it's encrypted by nature.
All, in essence, the checklist, what is blocked, what is accessible in China. If it's Western, it is very likely to get blocked very quickly.
So you had like WeChat, yeah. I guess.
Oh, I'm another update. I'm banned on WeChat.
What'd you do?
Well, nothing on WeChat, but I do have a lot of relationship with so many Wu Maos, telling them things they don't like hearing. So
so you were talking when you were supposed to be shutting up.
Yeah. Something like that. So no, it's actually I didn't use one WeChat account. I mean, what do I use WeChat for? For talking to people that are still in China and can't get Western social media or reliable email service. And at the end of the day, this kind of restriction. I mean, look, Emperor Bowser, Chairman Xi, you're not punishing me. You are punishing a lot of people in China, and they are not happy about you. So
I wonder if you could use TikTok. I wonder if that's monitored as much as WeChat.
Even more.
Even more? Oh, because we use it?
Well, first of all, like a story about TikTok. This is experience from other people. Is in the States, they get banned on TikTok for making repeated negative remarks about the Chinese government. And what has been leaked half a year ago is that Chinese administrators, programmers, have immediate access to non-Chinese user data.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's one big thing. I know Trump wanted to ban it, and one of the things that we are concerned is, well, service members of the Army, Air Force, and so on are using that app, and they are on base locations that are not necessarily public knowledge, especially Chinese public knowledge. Yeah, and I mean, this kind of security concern.
Security threat. Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine you have, let's just say, you have Whiteman Air Force Base, yeah, where the B-2 is stationed. So you can target with precision ammunition exactly the places where people are, like at 12 noon for lunch. Yeah. So if you have this location data, then that is an easy thing to do. Mm-hmm. But look, this is and again, this has something to do with liberty. Our liberties are being used against us, not only by the Chinese military or Chinese government. It is a very, very difficult situation, as I was saying. You have freedom of speech, yeah, and that includes the right to say something stupid.
But you'd be a fool to think that the FSB, MI5 and 6, CIA, NSA, FBI is not to some degree monitoring all of these platforms in one way, shape, or form or another.
And look,
you'd be a fool to think that they're everything on social media, but anything that you put out there.
Let me ask you, right in this video, we're talking shit every day with each other. We are talking political stuff here. Do you have any problem that the FBI, CIA, NSA, or whoever is listening to this conversation right now? I don't.
Nope.
Yeah,
I'm good.
You see, This is the problem. None of these agencies, whether American nor British nor whatever, yeah, I mean, essentially, the agencies of your and my country are not going to come after us for talking about freedom. Yeah.
Well, see, I have the First and Second Amendments. My firearms, if I do have any, which I'm not saying I do, I'm not saying I don't, are licensed. As far as communications, I hold several FCC licenses for radio communications. I have an official FCC call sign. I have background checks. Like if there's anything to know, they would have already found it.
And look, literally, the law enforcement is not going to come to your door and arrest you for no good reason at all. Yeah. So really, this kind of thing is well, I think at the current state of both the countries we live in, it is not going to happen. And I think in this particular situation, our societies got the turnaround still early enough, because if we did continue, if we had continued, strange grammar, down the path of what you were saying in the beginning of being punished for thinking and saying the wrong things, we are going to end up like China and North Korea. And I had this conversation with my wife a couple of months ago, no, weeks, not months. And I said, look, in the early Middle Ages, what was the dominant culture? Mid-Eastern Islam. Yeah, until they were defeated.
Well, it depends geographically. That answer varies.
Yep. So being defeated in the, I think, late 15th century in Central Europe, Islam has retreated and closed itself off to outside influence. Same thing with the Chinese Empire, that was essentially taking over with their freedom of ideas, closed themselves off. In the 1600s, I think. Fast forward 400 years, European or Anglo-European culture is the dominant culture all around the world. Whether you're looking at business, the Anglo-American model of business is the standard all around the world. Yeah, in different variations.
I have friends who have traveled even more than me, and asked them about how they get around. They go to Thailand, they go to, Gibraltar, they go to the UAE, they've done projects in Africa, they've done projects in South America. And I'm always like, well, how do you get along? He says, no matter where you go in this world, someone will be speaking English.
Exactly. You see, English, hands, feet, gestures, it works. And you see, how did it come to that? Because we freed ourselves from oppression by our worldly masters, kings, queens, emperors, and so on. We freed ourselves from the massive influence of the church. And through Enlightenment and Renaissance, we were able to start developing all these kind of things and ideas. Yeah. Then go a step further. When economically problems started to appear, what happened? Well, people were immigrating in masses to the US because new country, new frontier, and you see,
carpe diem.
Yeah, it's not only. You see the kind of thing where I'm saying I am now leaning more towards the American model of liberties and values, is because you take these people that are leaving a bad situation in their home country, you drop them in the middle of the US with nothing around them. They know they can only rely on themselves. So, and when you start understanding that consciously, you can understand this kind of stance on liberty, where it comes from. You can understand the values and why things are in the US how they are. Yeah, doesn't mean I fully agree with everything. Yeah, but the point is when you compare literally those two antipodes being back in Western society now after I've been in China and talking to you much more often, is if I have the choice between these two evils, it is clear what I'm going to choose. In other words, if I want the Chinese Secret Service to have my data or the CIA, I'm choosing the CIA hands down.
Yeah. Well, in America, if you're immigrating to America, so you're first generation, there is a social construct in place where your son, daughter, child, pronouns, whatever. So the second generation can be doctors, lawyers, financial investors. They can be Wall Street guys. If they want trades, they can be trained how to do plumbing, welding, truck driving, earthwork, heavy equipment operations. Like within one generation, you can come from the poorest rice field in the world. You can come from the hottest desert in the world. Within one generation, your child can have a high level skill, a trained skill to get the upper echelon of the blue collar jobs, or they can go white collar and get an education and have a good job in any of the white collar fields within one generation.
I think that is something we should be looking at in another
That's
episode,
liberty.
because
That's liberty. Your
I
kids
was
are telling
was
you, your
going to
kids are telling
say
you what they're saying on TV. Yeah, you came here from a desert and your kids are translating the TV in perfect English, and then they're pre-law at Stanford.
something in the US is enabling not only the country but also the people that go there to integrate much faster into society. So as you said, second generation immigrants in the US have Western or American names predominantly. Yeah, there is exceptions, yes, particularly two cultures that are slow to adapt or refusing to adapt. Take it however you want it, but predominantly is that you see that the second generation children, that is the children that are born in the US, have American or Western names.
But see, what even
Not happening in
constitute,
Germany.
like in America, having an American name is not even the same as Western Europe anymore. I know a ton of Jose's. I know a ton of Jesus's. I know a ton of Miguel's. These were all considered, Hispanic, Mexican names, Spanish names. Now it's just part of the fabric that's America.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's just as American as apple pie, which we probably ripped off from somebody else. It's ours now.
Probably.
We love it. It's probably English. I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to vouch which it is. I wouldn't able to be.
No, it's just
But
like with growing up in Florida, there's so many, now there's a big influx of Central Americans and Mexican descendants, but we've always had, the Dominicans, we've always had the Haitians, which speak French, we've always had the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, the Islanders, your Trinidad, Tobago, your Bahamas. We've always had this huge influx to where it's, you look around and you're not like, oh, he's this, he's that. You're just like, yeah, Florida. No, he's from Alabama. That guy's acting like Texas. You with the loud mouth. Jersey or New York? Which one? Pick. It's but see, here's the thing. All American.
Yep.
You look out and you're just like, yeah, that's an American.
Yep. No, this is really a thing that has it is the liberty that has enabled the US to integrate so many different people, different cultures, and also the willingness of the majority of these people to go to a place where they have a better chance. And this is something that I started to read Thomas Sowell, and really it's to me a thing a contradiction in the argument of the system is rigged, the system is unfair. Well, how do you explain these kind of things? Yeah. So pointing at one particular outcome doesn't make a system. Yeah. So, or as Jordan
No, you're
Peterson
cherry
says,
picking things that fit your narrative.
exactly. This one thing in an interview, Jordan Peterson said, well, why are we not discussing the fact that 99% of bricklayers are male? Why don't we equalize that? Why don't we demand 50%?
I've seen that video. He also touched on sanitation workers. Why is the overwhelming majority of garbage men male? Where are the women who are begging to get that to resemble the populace as far as male, female?
Don't know the dude, but he was also being criticized about something gender, and he said, well, how many of you in the audience that shout so loud have hired a male babysitter for tonight? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we go.
How many of you want to go lay asphalt?
You see, this is something.
How many of you want to go into a combat MOS in the military? Because we use our military.
Jobs need to be done. Doesn't matter who does them, as long as they are done properly.
But why cherry pick? Oh no, we want to be represented in this market, this market, this market. But no, these other three are terrible. No, y'all keep dominating that, and it won't get brought up.
The other thing is you have every right and liberty to choose your own path, but insinuating that society must approve or that you are the one that tells society in which direction it goes is absolutely preposterous. I mean,
do you want to get in trouble?
Not necessarily.
Because I got one that'll probably get us in trouble.
Then maybe we do that in a private session. Oh dear. Well, that is. I don't think that will get us into trouble. I mean, this is debate. I have a better one for you. I don't.
It's like passing notes in class.
Yeah, something like that. But no, I have a better one for you that I don't mind discussing publicly. It's when I throw the name Leah Thomas at you, you obviously know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for everybody who doesn't know, Leah Thomas is a transgender female that is competing in American college sports as a female after transitioning to female from originally being male. Yeah.
Yep. She grew up as a male and developed under male hormones, male bone density, male muscular structure.
Well, essentially, she is chromosomically she is still a man, but visually she's a woman. Yeah, and look,
a very handsome one.
If you say so, I haven't looked that intensely at her, but taking your word for it, I'm sure many men will find Leah Thomas attractive, and many females will find her attractive. And hey, whatever flows your boat, you know. Look,
I don't think
really,
you
whatever flows.
Check the last note I sent you.
I'm checking my notes.
I don't think that cultural reference crosses the pond the same.
Yeah. No, look. Whatever flows one's boat. Yeah. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, but she is also dominating collegiate female sports.
Yeah. And that is the thing. The American College Sports Association, the NCAA, said, yeah, Leah Thomas can compete with females. And they apparently, I haven't seen any written evidence, but apparently they told their female swimmers, no, you are not allowed to have any other opinion about this. So you have women in the sport of swimming that literally trained 18, 20 years of their lives. And as you're saying, Leah Thomas is dominating the competition.
And
It's
I
just a question
believe,
who is second.
yeah, I believe, well, obviously she won the last big one, but I believe before she transitioned, when she was still competing in male athletics, I think it was somewhere between 100 ranked one between 100 and 150 in men's.
As a female, Leah Thomas is much more successful than he was as a male.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
just saying when
that's a
when
fact.
she was a man, I believe it was post 200 in the rankings.
And look, whatever side of the argument you are on, if you are saying yes, Leah Thomas should compete with women, you are labeled as a misogynist, hating on all the women that have trained all their life and are now losing to someone who was originally male. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on the other side of the argument and say no, Leah Thomas should not compete with women, not saying
Transphobic.
Yep, exactly.
I'm
So
calling your boss. I'm getting you canceled.
exactly that
I'm
is the
calling your
point.
kid's
And
school and I'm telling everyone you're a bigot.
my personal take of this is no matter who is making whichever decision, the person that is caught in the middle of all of this, Leah Thomas,
It's a female athlete.
is at the end of the day is a transgender female athlete. Absolutely right. And my question is, why is there not a third option saying, okay, competing with men, obviously not what that person wants as their own identity. Competing with women that have been women all their lives, probably not that fair. But how about we have a category of men transitioning to female? This is the category you are competing in. Yeah.
I know how to solve that. No more gender biased sports. One sports team per sport for that college. One lacrosse team, one football team, one basketball team, one soccer team,
You see, this
one
this is
swim
the
team.
this is exactly the problem. No matter what solution you're choosing, or not, no matter what solution you are suggesting, there is somebody out there
I'm playing devil's advocate
that
here.
is offended. Yeah. And you see that exactly that has also been suggested. That has been suggested. And yeah, but then the women would only lose. Yeah. We have quite literally the German ladies national team is regularly competing against the under 17 soccer team football for the civilized world, and they constantly lose. One of the best female football teams is losing against 17-year-old boys.
The
Yeah.
Australian team lost to the under 15 male club.
Yeah.
And I believe
So
they were ranked 8th in the world at the time.
no matter which team you are choosing. Yeah. And you and I, we wouldn't be that far behind. Yeah. So regardless of how unathletic I am, it is just a physical fact that my bone density is different, my proportion between different muscle types is different. That gives me certain advantages.
Well, it's like
Just the
when
way it is.
everyone was talking about Ronda Rousey in her heyday fighting Floyd Mayweather. They were the same. They would have been in the same weight class. That would have been a first round KO.
Very, very quickly. Both, if both are trained, and yeah. So, and really, I have all the respect since you mentioned Ronda Rousey. I wouldn't want to go head to head with her. Definitely not.
No,
Yeah,
but there were legitimate talks about trying to promote a fight between
yeah.
her and Floyd Mayweather, which is the best defensive boxer of all time. And I mean, dude hasn't had a knockout in a long time, but that's because he hasn't had to. You can't hit him.
There's
But
another
when he
thing.
connects, your jaw hurts.
Oh dear. You obviously know Venus, not personally, but you know Venus Williams, best female tennis player probably of all times.
You mean Serena?
Sorry, Serena. I
Because
am terribly
Venus
sorry.
isn't even the best tennis player of the Williams sisters.
No,
Don't get me wrong, she's great, but Serena's the shit.
Serena was suggested to compete against a man in
No,
tennis.
she did.
She
I
said,
saw the videos. She couldn't hit his serve.
"Yep."
She
She
even
said,
said to the camera, she said, I could not compete
"Yep,
on the male side.
yep,
She admitted it. And
yep,
she didn't say it as I'm less of an athlete. She's just saying these guys are serving 110, 120.
yep."
You know, in the female, we're our serves are 30 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour less than this. It's not apples
It's
to
what it
apples.
is. It's what it is. And you see, again, going back to liberties over the last 10, 20 years, we have increasingly curtailed these liberties of talking about these things. Yeah. Mention Leah Thomas, and no matter which side you're on, you are getting attacked. And probably if you have the same conversation with her, you're having a much better outcome. Yeah. So really, this is something is also that white supremacist comment. Yeah, you and I white supremacists. I mean, for Christ's sake.
Oh,
This,
I guess now we're sexist too.
oh,
And you're
definitely
you're
sexist, transphobe,
anti-China.
misogynistic, racist. Is there any other ism that we can violate today? I mean,
I don't know, but our views are not as high as the Tate brothers, and they get accused of all the same stuff. They
yeah.
also have a lot more money than us.
I mean, what I see, and I think that is beginning the beginning of the end of this video. I see more and more people joining these debates and saying, yeah, I mean, there is a point. Maybe that is not the right thing. What we are doing right now. Yeah, and
The problem is the pendulum swings one way, and
it
whenever
swings
it swings
back.
back, it always swings too far. It never.
Yeah, we are going from one extreme to the other, and with most, I see most people have very moderate centrist views. Yeah, it's because people want to have a balance in their life. Yeah, I don't want to be chasing my debt all the time. I also don't want to. Yeah, these are the kind of things people need moderation. Yeah, no matter which extremes you are going into. But I think we are going back there, and that is me passing this on to you. Do you see similar trends? Do you see the fear of swinging back too much? And where do you see this kind of thing going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, see here, it's still swinging left, and my biggest comment on that, and yeah, I guess you could say a fear would be it's going to swing so far. The further it swings out to the left, the more the right is literally just arming themselves to the teeth because they've been told you can't speak, you can't say anything. If you do say anything, will ruin your life. You had a voice for hundreds of years, and now you don't deserve one. But you're saying that to people who have never, for the most part, have never done anything. You know, have never been a racist person, have never, hated people of other religions, who don't have a problem with gay marriage. They weren't a part of any of this stuff that you're rebelling against, but the people rebelling against and trying to shift it so far the other way, none of them were a part of it either. So my worry is that it's going to become, we're moving so far apart and not towards the center that there's going to be a series of events that will kick off something that can't be undone. And certain people, certain parts of the country, especially, will fare better than the other parts. You take when they had all those riots on the West Coast, and I believe it was in Portland. Y'all can Google it. They had a no police zone, no government zone, and they had like 6 square blocks or something like that, and they had bordered it off, and they said we are a free nation. And within a week, they were begging on social media for toilet paper, food, toothpaste, just the bare essentials. And these were the people who were saying, defund the police, we don't want you here. And then they're saying, oh, people
And
are
then
getting
calling the
stabbed.
police, I'm getting robbed, I'm getting stabbed. You see,
Yeah.
this is exactly the thing. Not only we value it when we lose it, especially if it's our own fault that we lose it, but when I hear these kind of things now, I am saying, you privileged little punk are in the position to say that kind of shit because of the people you are criticizing.
But see, they say these things from what they view as a safe space. They're saying these things with like-minded individuals. That's okay. That's your outlook on our country, on our planet, on our policies. The problem is going to be when you come to where people who don't think like you and you start trying to take away their liberties, it's going to end in bloodshed. Americans have already proved through several instances, if you try to come to our land, if you try to come to where at, it doesn't matter who you are. If you try to impose your beliefs upon us, we will fight for our beliefs, we will fight for our land, we will fight for our family, we will fight for our communities. If you want to say those things over there, that's one thing. But if you come trespassing, burning, looting, trying to get into people's houses, coming on people's property and acting violent, you're going to get shot. And the people around you are going to get shot. It just, that's what I'm worried is going to happen.
I mean, you don't need to go to that extreme, yeah.
But that's my biggest fear is one side will force the other side into defending itself, as in I'm now defending myself, my life, the lives of my friends and loved ones. I have no other choice now. You are you are bringing violence.
Is classed as self-defense. May be different in and the means may be different in different countries, but is in essence liberty and freedom doesn't have to obey, yeah, when its fundamental values and underpinnings are under attack. So as you are saying, you come to my house trying to do your shit in my place. You're not gonna leave it the same way as you came into. Yeah.
No, but if you come to me with violence,
the response is also violent.
The biggest deterrent is an overwhelming show that you are willing to be exponentially more violent. That is the deterrent. That's the nuclear deterrent. Why don't we fire our nukes? Oh, because they have a bunch of nukes. Nobody wants to fire first. Well, if you fire first, all bets are off the table, man. Like, okay, it's go time.
See, at that point, it becomes. I mean, that is even more extreme. Yes.
But I'll make you like, we will make you not ever want to do this again. You will never come here and try to take away our liberties and our beliefs again, because the survivors will write and tell the generations that come after you what happened.
I have a saying. I think it's a German saying that even the most peaceful person cannot live in peace if their neighbor doesn't let them. See,
I would agree with that.
I don't think anyone. I think the large majority of people is leave me alone and I leave you alone. Yeah.
Yep. Live and let
It's
live.
again going back to the beginning. Once this is being infringed upon, there is a response of increasing violent nature. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Violence begets more violence.
and that is where I agree with you. I am concerned. I'm afraid about that because this will be continuing to one up each other. With what results, I dare not think about. But I do, on the other hand, I do think that we have looked into that abyss. The Not necessarily only the pandemic, but the ongoing war in Ukraine has opened a lot of people's eyes in terms of, well, wait a second. What's going on here? This is not the kind of world I want to live in. And the self-reflective response has been, well, then you better bloody do something about it. So, and I think that's where I want to leave it for today.
So this has been another episode of Roland and Rish's review. I'm Rish. He's Roland.
And
See you
we
down the
will
road.
see you on the next one.